and then I get on another track. So I've got too many tracks. And
right.
I need...
Right. Well, let's take that up. And we'll bring you out here for a bit on that too. Welcome everyone. We're live. It is the top of the hour, so we went live. Let me go ahead and mute that YouTube video. All right, good. So welcome everybody to our Success Mastermind. It's Tuesday, the 9th of October, 10th already for our friends across the date line. John Lavenia here with you. And right, not in uniform, but that's okay. We've got a topic on the table, which I think is important to cover. Before we get into that, though, I do want to say that we had a great meeting last night on our book study group, which happens at 9 p.m. Eastern U.S. time on Mondays. And we covered 4 chapters of How to Stop Worrying and Start Living by Dale Carnegie. So if you're going through that book, there's been a lot of really good stuff in that book. I'm really glad it was recommended. We're going to cover a few more chapters next week, so go ahead and keep on reading. We're almost halfway through the book now. That being said, we got a consideration and a topic on the floor, which is about confusion and overcoming said confusion when we're going in too many directions at once. So I want to share with you here today, just as my friend Lynn was bringing that up, how do we overcome confusion? How do I overcome confusion? And there are, well, let me say this. This is something that I've studied just as a practice, right? So the fact that I'm able to get into different teachings and read the books and all this and actually make sense and use it all is because I'm not confused about it, right? The confused mind does nothing. In fact, there's a saying in the sales world that you confuse them, you lose them, right? You confuse the customer, they're not buying anything. So we definitely want to have some clarity when it comes to ourselves, what we're looking to do, or in the case of a selling situation, what we're looking for that person to do. There must be a definite path, which is not a confused path. So a couple things are coming up for me. Hey, Daisy. Hey, Virginia. Welcome. So the first thing that's coming up for me is that, as the old saying goes, the surest way to learn nothing is to think you already know. Now, if we can see ourselves or someone going in a lot of different directions and not honing in and or getting some instruction and getting definite about what they're doing, then they'll continue to go in lots of different directions. Or if we look at ourselves, we will continue to go in lots of different directions if we're confused or not sure about what to do. The idea here that I want to base all this on is that sometimes, I would say all the times, if we're finding ourselves in a confusion, that is an admission of not knowing. I mean, what would be the opposite of confusion? We could say certainty. Certainty. That's a state of knowingness, right? So on this hierarchy of knowingness, we may assume that we know what to do, but maybe we're like way down the mountain at, I hope this works. So that would be different than I'm certain and I know what to do. Now, in the Science of Getting Rich, Wallace Wattles said the person who gets rich is the one who does things in the certain way, not the I hope this works way. So there's a major disparity between true certainty and knowingness versus confusion and hope or I'll try or whatever. And that's the operating strategy of a lot of people, if you can call it a strategy. Hope really isn't a strategy, but this whole spray and pray approach that some people take, and you know what I mean by that? That means like I can't even see the target. I'm just going to keep pressing the trigger until hopefully I hit something. Now, if you've got unlimited ammo, I guess that's a workable strategy. But how many of us do, in terms of our own motivation, our own drive, and things that we the effort that we're willing to put in? Do you have unlimited ammo? Probably not, right? So we want to be a bit more efficient. So really what we're talking about when we talk about overcoming confusion is increasing efficiency. So now I have a known target and I can, so to speak, press the trigger once and hit the target, not all the targets, the target. So confusion for me has to come down, or overcoming confusion has to come down to finding one thing, one target, one datum, one item that I can put my attention on, and then base other things on that. This is actually a huge thing that I learned actually reading a book called Problems of Work by L. Ron Hubbard. He talked about the doctrine of the stable datum. So imagine all of these, wind. You got a windstorm, and you got leaves and papers and all this crap flying around, right? So that could be a physical depiction of a confusion, right? All this stuff in random motion. But to lessen that confusion, all we got to do is find one stable thing. So we could say all this stuff is in random motion, but now that we've identified, all right, here's let's say the ground, right? So this is a stable location in time and space. So all the other, random stuff is in relation to that stable thing. And so now we have lessened our confusion. So, dig into the book. It's really something. Okay. But and it's called Problems of Work. And what he's talking about is the problems of, having employment and having businesses and making sense of it all, and not living in a state of chronic confusion. So perhaps that's the book for you, Lynn, but and for anyone, right? I've read it multiple times. But when we have a stable datum, item, right, whatever, so this is the platform upon which everything else can conform. Now we've got a position from which we could start to make sense out of stuff. So this is real. All this other stuff is still open for debate, but the fact that I've got a rock to build on, my confusion has lessened. Friggin' spectacular, right? So when we can do that, not only do we get relief, but we can also make better decisions because we know this is stable, this is real, right? This other stuff is still open for debate. Now, moving up the ladder from just, bare bones, cursory level understandings into, towards mastery, there are things that we're going to want to make sure that we don't allow ourselves to do, to go off the course and to add additional confusion. I mentioned the fact that I'm able to put to use teachings from books and seminars and stuff like that is because, and you guys have seen me do this, if you've been hanging around here for a while, because if I come to any concept where I have an assumption, I don't know exactly what the author means by that word. Why did he use that word, right? What does that word mean? Go ahead and grab a dictionary, like for real, get full conceptual understanding of the data that is coming your way that you're supposed to be able to work with. Remember, certainty and knowingness go together up here. So assumptions or misunderstandings or confusions or anything like that reduces my certainty. Well, I think that's what they meant. No. First rule of business, assume nothing. Assume nothing. All right. So get the full concept. And look, there are a lot of people, and I'm not attempting to be critical here, but there are a lot of people online selling courses about such and such tactics and how to crack the Facebook code and blah, 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 blah. And they throw out a bunch of charismatic stuff. But are their students able to take that in and then duplicate the actions that they did? Right. So that would be a certain act, right? That would be acting in a certain way, as if I fully got the communication and I was able to duplicate in real life what that person did, then that would be obviously a successful action. I would not be confused about that. And quite often the answer is no. First of all, the teacher a lot of times is so far up the mountain, perhaps they don't communicate in a way that's the student can actually receive it. Okay. And in some cases, there's an unrealistic expectation on the part of the student that they're able to get that high that fast, right? I mentioned golf lessons before. Sure, the golf pro could look and could see all my mistakes. And as much as he vocalized that, I could not duplicate the motions that he did. There's a thing called practice, right? You don't just show up on day one and suddenly you're a golf pro, right? So there is that as well. And sometimes we can, and this was right out of the book that we were just reading, right? So how to stop worrying and start living. a lot of times it's easy for us to discount or condemn or criticize ourselves because, we haven't gotten that high that we think we should based on whatever expectations. Remember, first rule of business, assume nothing. So based on our assumptions, we also assume that we're less than. Dangerous stuff. Okay, so how do we avoid these sort of confusions? Well, one thing we can do, as I mentioned, is to make sure you got full conceptual understanding. That's why I say the dictionary is the best self-help book ever written. I've saved myself so much time and confusion just by really digging into what does that communication actually mean? What are those words? Because this stuff has meaning, and what do we base a lot of our decisions on? What does it mean for me to do this or to not do that? So this again brings us into a state of definiteness, not infiniteness, definiteness. We hone down and we find this is stable, this is real, this is what I'm basing my decisions on. Great, there's that. Now, I also alluded to the fact that there is a mountain to climb, and you don't do it in one day, right? So another way for us to avoid confusion is to do today's work today. Again, I'll refer to Waddles, right? He said there'll be time enough for tomorrow's work tomorrow. Yesterday's gone, right? So we focus the entirety of our energy and our effort into the present task, and we take that to completion. Doesn't it feel good, everyone, when you check something off as a done? That's a done right there. That feels good. That's accomplishment. That's production. I mean, and that's where, I can tell you my self-esteem, my morale, it's like, yeah, getting stuff done. Yesterday, I was, and this has nothing to do with business, okay? But yesterday I was building gardening boxes, which you guys need to see. Maybe Friday I'll give you a tour. But we got these gardening boxes and they're all full of the dirt. My wife was out there planting the vegetables. It was spectacular, okay? But the act of getting it done and knowing that it's done and acknowledging its doneness was pleasing to me. There was no confusion about it. All right. Now, this is something rather objective, right? There's not a whole lot of thinking that goes into this. You measure the stuff and you do it, right? So once you've done your math and you've assembled the stuff and you put the dirt in, then that's it, right? There's no confusion about it. But the act of accomplishing it and the recognition that it has been accomplished is pleasing to me, right? So that boosts my esteem, my morale, because there's the product. Production occurred. Now, had it not gotten done, and this was interesting too, because I had the choice to not finish it yesterday, although rain clouds were rolling in, as they do every friggin' day in this state. And I've got this big pile, hundreds of dollars worth of the best potting soil you can get, right? Organic, with the horse manure in there and everything, right? So I don't want the rain coming and running this all over. I want it on the tarp, and then I want it in the box, and then done, right? So the fact that it got done, despite the laborious nature of it, here I am with a shovel. Yes, one shovelful at a time, dumping it into the box, right? Drenched head to toe, filthy. My goodness, Florida, Virginia knows. But the fact that it got done was really, really good. Now, when we are still at the bottom of that gradient, right, we have to be able to celebrate the wins and acknowledge what we've accomplished on the path, up to the summit. Okay, because if all we keep doing is looking at the summit and how we're not there, then again, we can introvert. We could say, well, I must not know what to do. I'm confused. I'm overwhelmed. I'm right. And then fill in the blank with all the emotions that come with that uncertainty, that the anxiety, the frustration, right? But again, when we chunk things down, just like we did with, where I was talking about, finding one thing that is stable. Yes, this is true. Everything else can be based on this or can fly away or whatever, but this is true. Okay, so once again, we've chunked things down into a condition of done. That helps us eliminate confusion and is actually a great way to, I would say, be humble, right? So humility, my favorite definition, is honest self-appraisal. Right, you're not at the summit, but you are not at the bottom either. Look at this progress. So we're not being confused about who we are in whatever processes we're attempting to manage or implement in our lives, because we acknowledge our wins. and what we haven't done yet, right? We got to find that balance. The other thing that I'll mention as far as this whole confusion thing is a lot of times, and again, this comes back to the field of education. Let's say you bought a course. Let's say you got a course on e-commerce or something. Well, that's nice, right? Lots of people are in e-commerce. Sounds cool, all right? And so here's the theory about how e-commerce is supposed to work, all right? But you've never touched the machine, right? So you've got a head full of theory. Maybe you went through the course, but you never laid hands on equipment, right? You never actually placed the listing, or the worked with the reporting system, or calculated the math behind it, or whatever, right? So I'm making this up as I go. But if whatever we're attempting to accomplish remains in the realm of theory only, without practical application, again, we're out of balance. This is another state of confusion. So you got a head full of ideas and you're not sure how to execute them. Again, we got to break it down. And I would say commingle, and we've talked about this before, commingle theory with practical application. So this is observable in all different fields of life, right? I mean, if you're, the example I like to use a lot is the tide, right? So you're standing on the beach, water level rises, water level falls, right? So what is that? So outflow, inflow, out, in. You can't just take in, more and more and more theory, how to, right? Without outflowing effort and some demonstration of accomplishment. The more I commingle theory and practical application, the more real it is for me. And then I'm not confused about it, to the point where, like the person who, to their own defense, right, has summited the mountain in whatever tactics they're teaching, they don't even think about the theory anymore. They've become what we could call unconsciously competent. Can they get conscious of that and explain it to another person? Well, maybe. Okay. But like, for example, our friend Ingrid, right? She's a master violinist. And there are little distinctions, right? Little subtleties of playing that instrument, which can Ingrid, explain, all the theory behind how she's able to produce those sounds, right? Well, if we took, I suppose, years, okay, but again, there's those unrealistic expectations. Can I just get it now? And I think we live in the age of, microwave results and instant gratification and all that. I was griping about this, I think it was yesterday, about the short attention span, right? I mean, oh my goodness, your video is a full minute long. I mean, we only got 18 seconds here, right? I'm talking about like TikTok stuff. So people actually study this. People actually study, like, what is the attention span of people in different, in different genres of, video consumption. I discovered some years ago, and I don't know if this is still the case, but the average readership of a self-help book is 11 pages. So people buy, they get inspired, they get the book because it's on the bestseller list or whatever their reasons were for buying it. On average, they read 11 pages. So we've got to have a bit more stick-to-itiveness, but I think the only way to do that and to not overwhelm ourselves or to confuse ourselves right out of the game is to take ownership of the theory, and by doing it physically, right? So I knew theoretically, I knew about garden boxes and PVC pipes and all that. I knew in theory. I got the instruction. I watched some videos on it, right? Nice. But now I really know. Now I know. Okay. So I'm not confused about that, nor do I need to get more instruction about that. Now, if I was going to get into advanced, irrigation system planning or something, well, there's more to know about that, right? Flow rates and pressure and all this. In this case, I was just putting in 2 little sprinkler heads, and that's it. Have a nice day. So how high up the mountain are you looking to go? Now, all of this brings me back to a concept that I got from remember how I said, confuse them, you lose them, right? If we're looking to induce action and decision on the part of another person, because this works both ways, okay? But if we're looking to, let's say, make a sale, okay? If you confuse the customer, the confused mind does nothing. There was a saying that I got from a mentor some decades ago that went like this. He said, if it's not necessary to say, it's necessary not to say. So here's your features list, which could be pages and pages long. And the customer doesn't give a damn. What's in it for me is what's on the mind of the customer. And when you can find this feature, that feature, that feature, and how it benefits you, Mr. Customer, you get this so that you can enjoy that, right? These pleasant experiences, right? Yeah, there's lots more things which you don't need to even know to make a decision, right? At this point, you're already sold because this is what you said you wanted, right? And great news, there's lots of other stuff too. But that's the end of the conversation. Sign here, right? To get everything that you said you wanted. Some people, and this is a tremendous error, they just keep talking and talking and talking, and they sell themselves right out of the sale. So how does this relate to ourselves? Again, we got to find the balance between, inflow and outflow, right? How much stuff can we actually take in? Back to the idea of theory and not quite taking ownership of it by, touching the machine, right? So we take in a bit and then don't read further. Don't go further. In fact, we've even studied books here where it said at the end of this chapter, reread this chapter, right? Do not just trudge ahead and have a cursory or glib approach to this material. Like, really study this. Okay. And so one concept, let me ask you this. If you had 100 concepts that you never quite assimilated, or one concept that you got every last drop of juice out of, what do you think would serve you better? So we got to go deep sometimes. It's sexy to go wide, right? And to have, vast, theoretical understanding of 10 million different things. There's even game shows. You guys remember Jeopardy, right? So, or the game Trivial Pursuit, right? Well, the word trivial is right in there. I mean, this doesn't mean anything. It's just, how much trivia do you know? My goodness. And Napoleon Hill said that an educated person is not just a person with a vast collection of general or specialized knowledge. No, I said an educated person is a person who has so developed the faculties of their mind that they're able to get whatever they want or its equivalent without violating the rights of others. So I say it's about going deep. It's about going deep. We have to develop our strengths and manage our weaknesses. So if we're in a state of confusion, it could be that what we're attempting to do is develop our weaknesses. Go wide instead of going deep. So now what? You get to suck at everything? Is that the trophy you're looking for? So we go deep. Right now, I mean, just 2 minutes before I got on here with you guys, Shannon and I were meeting about the software company we're launching, and we're discussing different packages and combinations of services and how this is going to benefit this type of business or that type of business. You guys are going to see this in about a week. So pretty exciting. And yet there are things that we don't know, where we've got people who do know this stuff. And I mean, they really know it, right? So I could spend my time to dig into all the technology and trying to understand how this interfaces with that. And oh my goodness. And I'm inclined to do that, right? Because I like knowing how stuff works and all this. But I also know that for as long as I've attempted to be all things to all people, I've played the small game. So attempting to be bigger than I am keeps me small. But knowing that here are people, we got this one guy in India, one in Pakistan, Philippines, they like live for this stuff, man. They know it, like boom, 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 done. Well, all right then. you know what? I don't know. Nor am I truly, if we really get down to it, I'm not interested in learning, right? I'll do what I do best, right? Which is get this thing on the market, and they'll do what they do best, which is creating interfaces and technological whatevers, right? So I get to play a bigger game by going deep, not attempting to know all the moving parts. That is a great way. I'll tell you right now, that is a great way to sidestep, avoid, eliminate confusion, right? So if we're attempting to be all things to all people, or even all things to ourselves, then we're kind of setting our own trap. Again, honest self-appraisal, know what you're good at, go deep on that. And then, you know, it's quite okay for other people to be good at other stuff, because they are. These are the ideas that are coming up for me, Lynn and everyone. I hope some of it, hopefully all of it, but I hope something is Lynn, why don't I bring you out here? I'm going to put you on the spot for a minute, since you were so gracious to give me this topic. Do any of these pieces resonate with you? Like, you know what, there's that. And I'm not asking you to say, oh, I'm guilty, but is there something that you know?
Yeah, different things were resonating at different times, actually, quite a lot of it. One of the things you said, which I quickly made a note of, was and you said it before, but it kind of really hit me today, was about doing today's work today. And it sort of talked to me about, not only is that practical, but it is energizing. And some of the things, because I think been trying, I've had too many ideas in a sense. Mm-hmm. And I've got through some, but I've got others halfway done and they're left hanging. And I go back the next day and I'm going, oh, now where was I with that? And plus I've got new ideas here and I'm losing focus. But it's like, yeah. Also the thing about going deep, it's like, yeah, I need to sort of stop doing this and that and the other and just go, mm-hmm. do that and stick with whatever that is and get that done. So that tied together really nicely, actually. It was really helpful.
Well, good. Yeah. And perhaps you could make like a battle plan, right? So you can enumerate these are the items that shall be done in yes. order of priority, right? And these shall not be, maybe tomorrow, I don't know, but not now, not today, right? So
that's actually that's a really good idea, the not now idea, because I'm a great lister for what to do today. Mm-hmm. Don't usually get through it all, so I think I'm over ambitious as well, actually. But the what not to do and to do later is probably a really, really good idea. That way I can cut down on the over ambition, get through what's done, and keep myself on course, in mm-hmm. fact.
Right. Beautiful. Thank you, Lynn. You know, you're reminding me of advice that I heard from someone who, this is out of context, perhaps with what you're doing, but let's say that you were in like a networking kind of a environment, referral marketing, network marketing, that sort of thing. One of the practices in that realm is to make a contact list and like contact people and, you know, show them your business and what you're doing. And there's almost always resistance to that, because people have ideas about, well, this person wouldn't be interested or in this way. They got lots of stories and a lot of prejudices about this sort of thing. So the advice that I heard from somebody was, tell people to do this. Go ahead and go ahead, write down everybody, just brain dump everybody you've ever met, ever in your life. That doesn't mean we're going to contact them all. That just means dump it out there. Just write it all out. Then, now you've got a list that you can objectively look at with no prejudice, nothing, right? These people exist in your life at some time. Great. Now we're going to categorize them. The first category would be people that we're going to contact, let's do it. I have their phone number. I've got them on social media. I've got some way to contact them, and I'd like to contact them. Great. That's category one. Second category is people I would like to contact them, but I don't know how to reach them. I haven't talked to that guy in 20 years. I don't even know his phone number. I'd have to do some research on that. Great. So that's the second list. And then the third category within that list would be, I'm never going to contact these people. I can't stand that guy. No. Great. So the point is that we got over our own hump of considerations, prejudices, confusions, whatever, because we just brain dumped. Now we're looking at it objectively. Now we can put things into categories. Yes, I'd like to, but not now, and I never will. Fantastic, right? So we've overcome inertia by compartmentalizing down and basically getting out of our own way. Again, this is out of context for what we're talking about today. This isn't necessarily overcoming confusion. It's more like overcoming inertia and our own considerations that stop us from taking action. But I think that's good stuff. That's good stuff. So in that way, here are my activities. I say yes, I say later, I say no. And you get to control that. How about that, guys? Write down everything you need to do and then split that up with no judgment, right? And then split that up. I'm waving my wallet around. And then no judgment. Yes, later, no. I like it. Virginia says, wasn't Carrie Fisher who said something like instant gratification isn't quick enough? I don't know. Maybe. You know what was interesting, Virginia, is when they rendered the Carrie Fisher, she was dead already, but in the movie, was it Rogue One? Rogue One. I think it was the Star Wars movie where Princess Leia appeared right at the end, and she's dead, right? But here she is, the young Carrie Fisher. Computer technology, my goodness. They didn't just do it with her. They did it with the guy with the beak, the old admiral or second in command, the Darth Vader, that really nasty guy. Like, they had him walking and talking and everything. The guy's been dead for years. Amazing technology, I guess, when you got an unlimited budget. All right, good stuff. Any other thoughts on overcoming confusion today? All right, so why don't we do this? I'm going to overcome my own whatever and get on with working on this whole software thing. By the way, I will make a couple announcements. We're going live today on our Facebook group. So not the Success Mastermind Facebook group, but the one that Shannon and I run for coaches and course creators, people launching online businesses. We're going to be talking about some really cool stuff today in the realm of advertising, specifically advertising on social media. So you may want to tune into that if you're looking to get some promo going for your business or businesses. And then what else? I think that's it. So anyway, check that out. If you guys have that, I think you're all in that group as well. So Shannon has made some announcements on Facebook for that. I hope to see you there. That's going to be at 5 p.m. Eastern U.S. time. Between now and then, have an awesome day. Be productive. Don't be confused. Get stuff done. And we'll see you back here